Hi everyone, this is John here from Organic Nation, Frankton, Hamilton. We're back on again talking about the really big problem of endometriosis today and all its associated illnesses such as PCOS, cysts, fibroids and other reproductive system problems. So starting out last week I had a massive reaction and lots of questions regarding the tinnitus talk that I gave, and I mentioned last week that I would get into the endometriosis side of things as well, and so I'm doing that today. It's a really important subject because not only do we get asked every day at the shop how people can heal from this issue without having to get surgery and all of these other kind of protocols, medication, things like that that people are going for when they've got these problems. I've got a bunch of information for you today on what causes endometriosis and how you can finally heal from it in a natural way, in a way that doesn't cause extra issues, as we know from some of the other methods of healing, or not even healing in most cases. It's just managing symptoms, isn't it? So most of you who come on here, you already know this stuff in terms of, some of the I'll just say it politically in this way, but there's lots of challenges out there that we're coming up against today because of things that have been pushed upon us, and also the mainstream way of dealing with issues, and we kind of get brainwashed into thinking that these are the right way to make us heal, but in fact they even acknowledge that their stuff doesn't heal. It just alleviates symptoms, and then of course we know that it creates a lot of symptoms as well. So typically you can get into trouble on these sorts of talks talking about that sort of thing, but I've got to be upfront with my customers and with those who watch these lives, because then I get lambasted with the questions of why didn't you say this and why didn't you say that, and that's fair enough too. Let's get right into the subject of endometriosis initially as kind of like the starting topic of this subject today, even though I will cover some of the other issues. Now, endometriosis is a bit of a, not everybody talks about it because it's a female issue, it's a private issue, and I respect that. But we're going to get into it because it's such a major problem today. And it's happening with the young people as well as the older. So, first of all, what causes it? Well, I'm going to get straight into it. As we were talking about with tinnitus the other day, the same cause, Epstein-Barr virus. Now, this is an interesting one because it can also be coupled with Streptococcus bacteria, which causes all of your UTI problems. Now, what is endometriosis? Well, endometriosis is, for a start, for those who don't know a lot about it, maybe just a little bit of education on it to get you started so that you can understand where I'm going from here, is women have endometrial cells. They're microscopic, tiny cells that basically we wouldn't know about if it wasn't for science, and because you can't see them. They're microscopic. And what happens is these little cells, they hang about in an area because they've got a job in the endometrial lining around the reproductive area, around the uterus and various other areas of that reproductive system. And so what happens is they actually have a job. I don't know if even science knows this, but their job is to keep the uterus and the reproductive area where the baby will be developed, and they basically clean that area. So their job is to pick up heavy metals, toxins, other debris, bacterial waste, things that have come in through the environment, through creams that we put on our bodies, through IUDs that women use, often copper and things like that, and you know, these drugs that they take for contraception and things like that. And so what happens is these cells can get loaded up with toxicity over the years as we get exposure. And so, hey Ross, how you doing? And so what happens is, as these cells get loaded up with toxicity, sorry, I might get the odd interruption, not interruption, but you know, customers coming by. It's a busy little shop, and we have loads of people coming down into the Vimagey aisle, which I always show everybody because this is my favorite supplements, the cleanest and the best in the world. And there's not many of those companies available today, so just bear with me if I get interruptions and things like that. Saturdays can get a bit busy from now on. So basically, with endometriosis, the endometrial cells are doing their job. They're happy, they're healthy, they're going along when you're young, and then over time, those cells doing their job begin cleaning up any toxicity or residual waste that comes into the reproductive system. Don't forget, the reproductive system right through from the breasts down through to the uterus and beyond they're filter organs as such, in a way that they're filtering constantly in through the lymphatic system is interconnected with those areas. And the lymphatic system is a filtering system, for want of a better way of describing it. And so what happens is these endometrial cells, they get loaded up with these toxins, and then they start to migrate. So they're so small they can pass through connective tissue. They can pass through from the uterus through to the stomach lining. They can pass through to the bowels. They can pass through to the hip, to the pelvic area. And part of what creates this inflammatory pelvic disorder or syndrome and symptoms. And you know, they've even in research and science have found endometrial cells in the likes of the breast tissue and other parts of the body where they should not be. Now, they are migrating for a reason, and this is unknown pretty much to science and medical research. They're migrating because their job is to pick up toxicity and to take it away from that developing fetus. And so they're doing that whether you're pregnant or not, whether you're, you know, they're just constantly every month they're cleaning away, they're taking, with these endometrial cells, they're taking away the toxicity from the uterus, from the area where that precious little life is going to be born and have to develop. And so it's part of what keeps the child free from a lot of the external kind of bombardment of toxins. Now, when I talk about toxins, what do I mean? Toxins can be, you know, plastics, pseudoestrogens, and things that, and hormone disruptors that come into the body that are created by man, by industry. It can be heavy metals such as aluminium, mercury is a big one, and other types of metals. It can be pharmaceuticals. It can be certain types of foods. For example, one of the favorite foods for the viruses and the bacteria that dwell in those areas and they excrete their waste is eggs. Now, you know, a lot of people don't like to hear that. They want to have their eggs. And hey Sue, you've got Ross, eh? Sweet, cheers. And what happens is those eggs and the residue from eggs, dairy, and various other foods, particularly pork and things like this, can make their way down to that reproductive system area because they're filtrating or filtering those areas. and become viral and bacterial feed for those bugs. And those bugs then poop and excrete and die and, you know, shed their carcasses, and various other forms of waste end up down in that area, and then those endometrial cells have to end up cleaning up that area and taking those and migrating them out to other areas in the body. So hopefully that makes sense. And then, you know, that's the cause of it. Bacteria, viruses. Epstein-Barr is the #1 cause of endometrial cell migration and extra-cell development. So what happens is, as the cell, and that's a big topic right there, because you say, well, okay, so these cells are migrating out around the body and taking this toxicity around the body, but what happens to these clumps of cells? What is this? These stringy clumps of cells that are building up in the body, in the reproductive area? What is this hardening of tissue in there? And this, quite simply, is once again the cell, not only endometrial cells, but all your cells, as they become dehydrated and deficient of the necessary vitamins, minerals, nutrients, magnesium, zinc, B12, all of these sorts of things, as they become deficient, and mostly as they become dehydrated through coffee, chocolate, tea, matcha, kombucha, stimulants, fatty foods, and you know, eggs and dairy and these various other things that dehydrate our body and make us more acidic. Salt is a big one. Salt will dehydrate the cells. These cells become tougher, harder, and deficient, and then they become mutated, and they begin to harden and to become tacky and less pliable, less soft, and less flexible. And so their elasticity begins to drop, and they are not as functional and as useful, and so they become clumped together and start to grow things in the way of cysts and these various other ailments that are starting to show up more and more regularly now. Fibroids, cysts, fluid-filled and pus-filled cysts, these sorts of things. Now, I'm not a woman, haven't been through it, and don't understand what a woman goes through when she does. I have been ill and understand illness, but what I can say is I do know the cause of it, and I do know how to cure it. And so most of you will be on here because you're interested in the subject, you've heard it, you've seen the label flash up there, endometriosis, how to know what causes it and how to finally heal. And I've given you a basic rundown on some of those things that are causing it. When you put things on your skin, when you take in scents from candles, when you have fragrances on, when you put on colognes and perfumes, when you do all these things, they soak in through the body, in through the skin, and they all end up storing it somewhere in the body, and it's typically in the lymphatic tissue, the liver, the kidney, the spleen, and reproductive system. And so when that happens, and as it builds over time, the body then goes to work at trying to protect you from it. And so cysts, PCOS, fibroids, and other types of ailments such as hardening of the tissue in the breasts and things are caused by the body actually going to work to try to defend you from the viruses, the bacteria, their waste, and those hyperneurotoxins that are getting dumped in there, those phytoestrogens and plastics, those contaminants that come in from everything from walking into a store and breathing the plastics gassing off and the solvents, to sitting in your car on a hot day when all the seats and plastics and carpets and everything are gassing off, moving into a new home with your paint gassing off, foods that you eat with pesticides, chemicals, toxins, and petrochemical fertilizers. By the way, celery juice, one of the #1 ways that your body can assist you in your healing. And as we get into the healing side of the subject, because there's just so much to cover on it, and you know, in a live it's not possible to do that. So I'll just put in here, anyone who wants to know more about this subject and wants to begin to heal and wants a protocol, we send them out free. We just appreciate when if people want to buy a product from our store, from our online store, organicnation.co.nz, or they want to email us and get questions from us, everything is free. And then, you know, they support us by buying stuff from our store, particularly some of the supplements that we stock in the Vimergy range. They are a massive healer, and all of them are targeted at healing endometriosis, PCOS, cysts, fibroids, hardening of tissue in the breasts, and these types of other issues, pelvic inflammatory disease. And one of those things that we carry a full year-round supply of celery that people can juice fresh, and I'll explain to you in a minute why that is so important, why it's going to be your number one go-to for healing when you're wanting to heal or help someone else heal from these issues. Please pass this video on to anybody who you know who might be suffering from these things. Please pass on our details, our email or anything like that. It's info@organicnation.co.nz. You can contact us anytime for an information pack, or message me here and I'll pass that on to the manager to get those through to you each day. And if you be patient, it might take till the end of the day or the next day to get them through, but you'll get them and you'll be able to get started. Once you read the information and you like what you hear and you want to get started, we'll contact us again. We'll talk you through it, or email details out to you to how to get started, and then also the protocol that we follow and that you should be following if you want to heal. And you can pass that on to those that you love, those who have an issue, or if it's for yourself, get stuck in and get your healing going so that you could be free of those things, because they are not normal. They are not just normal woman reproductive health issues as they're getting older. This is not a fact. This is not a problem 100 years ago. This was not a problem when our bacteria and viruses had not mutated to the point of which they are today, with over 60 different strains of Epstein-Barr virus and 50 different strains of Streptococcus bacteria that cause these issues in the body. And people talk about HPV and various other viruses, RSVs and all these other things. All these viruses have the ability to do damage in the body. HPV isn't actually a harmful virus. It is a fairly docile virus that will only become problematic if there is the presence of Epstein-Barr virus, shingles, and Streptococcus all working together. Other than that, it's a bit overly hyped. Epstein-Barr is the most detrimental virus for the body, followed by shingles and some of the other herpes viruses such as herpes simplex 1, your simple cold sore. That virus is now so mutated that it can cause almost all the symptoms of shingles on its own. And so this is the world that we're living in today. This is the world that is toxic and has been ruined by, just in general, greed, money, all these sorts of things, even though it's one of the most comfortable times to live ever since the beginning of time, it is also the most uncomfortable in terms of health, and particularly for women's reproductive health. And so these subjects need to be talked about, and that's what we're here to do today. So how to finally heal, that's the main crux of the question. It's what everybody asks at the end of the videos: how do I heal from this? If you watch the video through right till the end, you'll get some of the answers on how to heal. First of all, when you've got an issue with the reproductive system, I not only recommend you, I seriously need to get off the eggs. It only takes 4 eggs a year to keep every part of your reproductive system continuing to develop those issues due to the residue from the egg albumin, not just the white, but the hormones and everything that are in the egg, that the egg uses to create a chicken are all in there non-beneficially loading that reproductive system area, the breasts and other areas of the body, with enough toxic food to keep all of your bacteria and viruses happy and healthy, and continuing to do the terrible damage that they're doing over time, depending on the level of mutation of the strain of the virus and bacteria. So get the eggs out of your life. You don't need them. Nobody ever died of not having eggs. I haven't had them for 5 years. I'm loving it. I'm the best I've ever been. My skin's the clearest it's ever been. As most people know, I've suffered from psoriasis for over 30 years. All of my ailments are gone outside of the last of my skin condition clearing up. And most people can see straight away that, hey, you know, John looks a lot healthier. He doesn't have, I'm getting older, of course, but I don't have the skin issues that I used to have. And I'm loving life. The OCDs, and we'll talk about that one day, what causes that, and all these other issues, the ringing in the ears, you know, all of these other really annoying issues, the maddening itch that is so common today. And we'll talk about those sorts of things next time. But how do you heal? Number one healer, celery juice. Why? Because it contains a special subset of sodium cluster salts that, when absorbed in through the body to the intestinal tract and into the bloodstream, travels to every nook and cranny in the body, rehydrating, cleaning the cells, and bringing in critical healing compounds and salts that run our body on a daily basis. Your brain can't run without those connective, the connective tissue in your brain can't run, and the neurons in your brain can't run without those critical sodium cluster salts. And they're not found in salt. They're found in vegetables. And that might surprise some people, but your salt is killing you. Now, you can have a little, you know, but salt is bad, man. Like, it's going to really dry you out. It's going to dehydrate every cell in your body. It's going to cause a toughening and a hardening of your, not only your cardiovascular system, but every structure and every cell in your body will become dehydrated and tough and hardened and pickled over time. So lay off the salt if you want to heal. It's one of the biggest, basically, inhibitors, or it slows down your healing in such a way that you would not believe. And we love selling salt. We sell a lot of salt. We make money on salt. But at the end of the day, I never tell my customers that salt is going to heal them. I tell them that fruit and vegetables are going to heal them. So there's one of the clues there. Celery juice, number one. Remove your eggs and your dairy and get away from gluten, corn and soy. I know I harp on about these things all the time, but I've got to tell you the truth. It's just that simple. I get people on here saying, you know, oh, well, you know, I've been on a meat diet and I've been on a high-fat diet and I'm healing, you know, no problem at all. And I'm like, oh, cool, good for you. Lots of people say that. But, hey, we'll catch up in 5 or 10 years' time, see how you're doing. You know, because you're really just slowing down the function of your liver, saturating yourself with fats and proteins that are just sluggish to move through the system. They slow down your peristaltic action. You get constipated, and all that fatty stuff that's coming in carries the toxins, because we all know fat chelates to toxins. And then those settle in the lymphatic system, they settle in the reproductive system, they settle in the brain, they settle in various other organs of the body. They create fatty liver. And we'll actually talk about that as a subject, because that's a huge problem today as well. So make sure you come on, listen to some of these talks, send them, share them with your friends. They might be lengthy, they might be boring in parts, and I'm not the best speaker for these sorts of things, but I do my best, and I get the information out to a great many people who need this healing information. Celery juice is also extremely hydrating, cleansing, and it's something that you can replace some of your morning routine with. It's best to have it squeezed fresh every day, or every day that you can have it, and then consume that on an empty stomach, and then after that you can have a detox smoothie. That'll be in the information pack, or at least in the healing protocol after you've received your information pack, and you'll be able to get stuck into those smoothies. We'll also comment and mention on that information pack about some of the critical supplements for healing. Your B12, your zinc, and your magnesium glycinate being the top 3 that are needed to be mentioned for everybody who is suffering from any kind of chronic illness or condition that has been around for a while and is continuing to exacerbate and to be problematic to you. Or anybody in general, for that matter, will be deficient in those 3 things. No matter who you are today, it is just a fact of this world and the toxicity that has purged those things out of the soil and out of our lives. So bring in lots of fresh fruit and vegetables. Don't be afraid of fruit. Don't be afraid of the sugars in fruit. Get plenty of those in. Cut down your fatty foods. If you're having chicken every day, cut it down to 2 or 3 times a week. Make the portions smaller, take the skins off, keep the fat out of the diet. Get off pork as quickly as you can. Eggs, dairy, gluten, corn and soy, and try not to cook with so much oil. Use a teaspoon instead of a drizzle of it. Try and keep the fats out of your, check your dressings and make sure they're not too fatty. These things like aiolis and mayos, and check on the back of them, check the percentage of fat in them. They're almost 100% oil, right? So 85, 86% saturated, unsaturated fats and oils. Things like pestos and things like that. They're not bad to have, but when you're doing that with your eggs and with your dairy and with your chicken and with your coffee with cream in it, with all these things, all you're doing is exhausting your body's resources, acidifying the body, and bringing the liver under tremendous strain and pressure so that it becomes sluggish, sick, and can no longer do its filtering job. And then your blood gets toxic, and then all that blood goes down to the reproductive system, and your whole reproductive system starts to begin to play up, get tough, get hard, and eventually become painful, with extra endometrial tissue being built up around those areas, and cysts, fibroids, PCOS, which is polycystic ovaries syndrome, and all these other ones that we come in contact with so often. And these are simple reasons for why they exist, and the answers to how you can finally begin to heal from them if you're willing to put in the effort to, once again, do things like your celery juice. Absolutely critical to heal from PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis, or any other thing like that. When you can get it, as often as you can get it, and I'd be spending my money on that over anything, aside from the critical supplements that will help to accelerate and heal faster. And really that's what supplements do. If they're a good quality, high quality supplement, like the Vimagy here, world renowned. I've also got to give a shout out to Anthony William. That's where most of the information comes from, medical medium. Jump on his website, jump on his podcasts, listen to those and learn, and then start applying those things without mixing them up with other information, and you will begin to heal. And like so many of our customers, our customer base. So it's John, Organic Nation, Sue, his little family business. Sue runs the place here, and the other staff that are on board will all be able to help you with any of your needs. You call us, phone us, email us, text us, any way that you like. If you're in trouble and you need help, we're here for you. And I've also got to, just say, we do truly passionately care about your health. We have to survive here as a business and hopefully thrive. But it's not just about the money. It is about getting people healed and giving them the right information. Why would I tell you about celery? We don't make any money out of celery. We sell, you know, between 60 and 100 kilos a week of it, but it makes very little money. I don't make a lot of money off my supplements. I don't make a lot of money off the things that we sell in the shop here. However, what we do offer is information that is critical for your healing, and we would like to be the ones to help you to get through that and to go on the journey with you. So jump on, email us, info@organicnation.co.nz, jump on our website, organicnation.co.nz, send us a link, send us a line, send us your email address if you want to get an information pack, and we'll go from there. Great chatting with you guys, and hopefully you know, you got a bit out of that. There's more information to come in the pack, so that's the one you really want to get your hands on. There's only so much I can say here. Get on the fruit, vegetables, herbs, spices and berries to clean up and start your healing today. Awesome to talk to you, and we'll see you again on the next one. I'm probably going to do something along the lines of some of the pressing issues, such as liver health, fatty liver, and covering some of those other filter organs as well on the next one. And then we'll have one either next week or the week after or beyond. Brain fog, memory issues, all of these other issues that are related to cognition and to the brain. And so be sure to stick around and watch those when they come up. I look forward to chatting with you all again, and you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.